All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Reality After Show. I'm your host, Bobby Goodsby, and joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Brent Wolgamott. Brent, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. I saw in the chat that they were like, I hope Brent's here tonight. So obviously, you're not always joined by me. You mostly are joined by me, and occasionally I'm not here, but most of the time I am here, and I'm here tonight to talk about this somewhat lethargic, somewhat incomplete, somewhat amazing episode of Big Brother.
Yeah, and I would be remiss to say we are missing our third co-host, Mr. Alex Rubino. He should be back next week. He had prior engagements, but yeah, like you said, what a week. And I just have to preface it by saying I decided at the beginning of the week not to watch the feeds, not to look at Twitter, not to listen to any podcasts, just to go into this week as a fan, kind of like a casual, because I wanted to just kind of remember what it's like to take in a week with no outside influence. And my God, the week I decided to take off is this week. And so I've got a lot of perspective from a casual viewing audience, even though I was privy to these conversations in the house because they happened a couple of weeks ago. But from watching it as a casual, it probably is different from what you've seen with Twitter, with the live feeds, with everything. So I want to get your take, and we'll start with you. How do you want to take this off?
Well, so let's just talk about the episode and some of the decisions that Big Brother made in their effort to bring us this episode tonight. I just want to call out the show for a couple things. Number one, the meeting that you saw on the episode tonight, for those of you who don't watch the live feeds, was not on the live feeds. They completely blocked it out. Have no idea why they decided to do so. They also blocked out Brittany and Michael telling Monty and Taylor about what Kyle had said. They showed Michael and Brittany discussing it with the White House guests, but they did not show Michael and Brittany discussing it with the house guests of color. And that sucks. I hear some elements of Twitter speaking for the producers who are saying, well, maybe the producers wanted to shield the black contestants so that they would have time to process that information and not have it instantly shown on the live feeds, to which I say, phooey, that is bullshit. That is the producers looking for cover to try to cover themselves after a cowardly decision. What? Do you think that black people are not capable of processing in real time as their white counterparts? I think that is horseshit. And I think that is a crock of shit. So I had no time for any of that. I don't know why they didn't show some of this on the live feeds. I am sort of used to some incredible decisions from Big Brother when it comes to Big Brother Canada, but Big Brother US generally shows most everything. It's not like we didn't know these things were happening. Obviously, we're seeing the retells of it with the White House guests. It is frustrating to me that they just continually try to shoot themselves in the foot, and they do that in so many ways. Honestly, I just have so many problems with the way everything was handled that I just wish that we had a new host, a new production team, like literally start from the bottom and put some people in there who know what the fuck they're doing, because it's evident to me that these people don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay. So there's my issues with production. I will also call out production, CBS, and the producers of the show, the story editors, of one of which I know of who watches this show, that it seems to me in your editing of the episode tonight, you made Michael and Brittany look worse than the man who perpetrated these attitudes in the first place, in Kyle. And it is not lost on me that in your efforts to make Kyle, the straight white man, look not as guilty, you're making the gay man and the woman look worse. So there is that, and I was not happy with that. They showed many conversations of Monty and Taylor and Monty and Terence and Monty and other people discussing the timing of Michael and Brittany and what they were doing. But we didn't hear much condemnation of what Kyle had said. And we got plenty of it on the feeds, but we didn't see it on the episode tonight. So there's that. I guess I'm on a roll, so let's just finish it off here. The final thing, as I said, beyond their treatment of Michael and Brittany, who were not innocent, let me say, but we'll table that discussion for now, is their treatment of Kyle on tonight's episode. I felt like they really treated him with kid gloves. This is a 30-year-old man. Okay, I was in the Army serving our country when I was 30 years old. Okay, let me just put this in perspective for you. Okay, this is a 30-year-old man, and they are treating him like an 18-year-old kid on the show with this editing. I needed to see more flashbacks of exactly what he said. And the thing is that they didn't really show everything that Kyle said. I turned off my phone. Let me turn my phone back on, because I always turn my phone off at the beginning of the show because my AirPods pick up my phone for some reason rather than the computer. But there are so many things that Kyle said that they didn't show on the episode tonight that would have made him look far worse than what he did on the episode tonight. And it is really, really frustrating to me in particular, because I feel like you have to show that, because otherwise it doesn't make sense why Taylor, why Monty, why Terence, why they are feeling that way. But we don't get to see any of that on the episode tonight. And this is what we got, a very Disneyized version. And obviously Disney does not own CBS, ABC does, but or Disney owns ABC, not CBS. It's the other way around. But point being that it's a very Disneyized version of what happened in the house. And I feel like that it could have been handled a lot better if we had people who knew what they were doing running the show.
Yeah, to piggyback off what you were saying about how CBS decided to really throw Michael and Brittany under the bus, I agree with you. I agree that they were trying to show that aspect far more than I think was necessary. I do not agree with a lot of their choices in the house. I think that they made the wrong decision of waiting too long. But I also want to say this. In the house, they kept saying that they finally do this. They finally, bring this information forward when they're not in a position of power. But I kind of want to, and correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I didn't see the feeds, and maybe this happened before the veto. But
okay,
after the veto, they technically were in a position of power. They were in a position of power where they were both going to be safe. So they technically didn't have to relay this information right off the bat. Now, if I'm wrong on that, I apologize. Like I said, I didn't see it, but I want to push back on the fact of them saying, well, why are they waiting till now when, they're in a position where they could go home, when technically neither of them were even facing that possibility.
Correct. Sorry. I was trying to do something here with my Twitter in the background. Repeat to me exactly what do you have a problem with, if anything? I know you have a couple problems, but
I'm just curious as to why they're saying, "Oh, well, why did they wait till this moment to do
it?"
Now, I agree that it wasn't the right time. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry,
let's be clear. Michael and Brittany kept saying, "Oh, this is not good for our game. This is bad for our game." That is horseshit, and Monty knows it. Okay, that is absolute horseshit. They were absolutely using this for game. Let us be really, really clear about this. I want to be clear where I'm at, because I condemned the producers for their treatment of Michael and Brittany in this episode, but they are not innocent in this. Michael and Brittany used this piece of information that they had as a way to further themselves in the game. They wanted to find a way to save Taylor. Michael was pissed off that Kyle had betrayed him, and he had this information and was seemingly okay with letting this race war commence as long as it benefited him. But when it did not benefit him any longer, then he brought out the tea. And that's fine. Bring out the tea. Kyle deserves to have the tea aired, okay? But Michael and Brittany are using racism as a weapon in the game of Big Brother, and that is not okay. And they need to be called out for it, okay? And if they don't want to bring it up, fine. If they are hoping Kyle gets evicted in Direfest, fine. But to bring it up now, at a point in the game, to get your revenge on Kyle, you are absolutely 100% own your shit, girl, Michael, who was driving the bus on this one, using racism as a weapon in the game of Big Brother, point blank, and the period. Okay? It is not fair to people who have to endure said racism for you as a white savior to pick and choose when you want to reveal said information. That is what I have to say to that. So, all of these people looked terrible. And by people, I'm talking about Kyle, Michael, and Brittany. Okay, but I do feel like in their efforts to reveal what happened in the feed blockage of tonight, the show did a really shitty job of showing us what Kyle did that was bad and why it was bad. And we can talk about it because I think there's some people who may be confused about that. And I know maybe some people don't listen to Terence. I think Terence had a really good analogy, but I've talked to a few friends, and I feel like I have a good analogy as well to let people understand why. Like, what I get from people is this, and I get this on Twitter from people, which is, well, but Brent, last year there was a cookout. So why isn't it okay for somebody to assume that this year there might be a cookout? And we're going to talk about that. But again, I'm tabling that discussion for a minute to concentrate on what I feel like are the real sins of the night, in that the production did not correctly indict Kyle for what he did and what he said. And you even saw him pushing back on it and Brittany's like, no, you did. But I wanted to see more flashbacks. I wanted to see more of production holding his feet to the fire. And I don't feel like they did that. They were more concerned with holding Michael and Brittany's feet to the fire. And Michael and Brittany do need to have their feet held to the fire, but not more so than the straight white privileged man who said the shit in the first place. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, no, and like I was saying, I agree with you. I think that the move that they did to tell people this conversation that they had, or conversations, was horrible. Like, they should have made a point to let this news out as soon as they got the information, because it's just the right thing to do. There's right and there's wrong, and they were clearly using this for a game aspect, and I totally understand that. My
100%. Yes.
My thing was, I wanted to push back on the fact where they said in the episode, oh, well, why are they doing this? Maybe they didn't say this in the episode, maybe I'm misremembering, but why are they telling us this now when it's because they're in a position where they're possibly going to go home. Now they're relaying this information. That's where I was like, well, they just won the veto, so neither of them were going to be going home, and they still let out this information. I agree with you. It's a game move, and it was absolutely wrong of them to hold this information as long as they did, because clearly they were using it as potential fuel to a fire later on when they needed it. So it was an ace in their hand. But I just pushed back that they were both safe, so no matter what, it wasn't
right.
that they were doing it from the bottom.
Okay, I'm with you. Yeah, to be clear, they absolutely were safe, but they're still using this for game, and that was on the episode tonight. Monty interjecting with Terence and with Taylor, hey, Michael and Brittany are two smart people. They're absolutely using this for game. They're saying they're not using this for game, and they are. They're using this for game because they know that we're better for them than Kyle. They want Kyle out because they know Kyle's against him, and they're using this as a way to get Kyle up on the block, because Turner would never put Kyle on the block until this information was revealed. Let's be clear. He was still in the Dire Fest. He was still protecting his people. Kyle, like, there was a moment in time, this is like ancient history, but like it's literally only 6 days ago, when Turner, after he won HOH, was going to put Alyssa and Terence on the block. And we thought that that's what was going to happen until Kyle got to him and said, look, if you put Terence and Alyssa on the block, they're going to reveal everything that we just talked about the leftovers in the backyard. And this is back before, the leftovers were, news to everybody, and everybody knew everything that was going on. So again, so much happened from Friday to Monday, and then nothing happened from Monday to Thursday. Like the week literally just dragged on. There's one more thing I want to talk about that is really grating on me. I am not a fan of Terence. I think Terence is a pretty horrible player, and he's like he just annoys the living shit out of me. Okay. And he can't be trusted in the game for any of our favorites, okay? And as I made clear from the first day I ever podcasted on Rob as a podcast, I am a biased operator up here. I am not a journalist. I am not reporting on the news like the robot, okay? I am here to give you my opinion on my favorites and what's going on. I don't care for Terence for shit. He's kind of a piece of shit man, okay? Just being real. He's like some of the things he's had to say about women, about Kyle and how his forgiveness of him and da-da-da-da-da. Like, really, really freaking gross. However, it did bug me on Twitter to see really, really progressive people condemning Terence for wanting to keep Kyle. For those of you who don't know, you didn't really see much of this in the episode tonight because, it was a 5-0 vote and Terence voted to evict Kyle. Let's be clear on what was happening prior to today. Terence and Alyssa, in my opinion, would have been votes for Kyle to stay if they thought there was a third vote there. Okay? Terence and Alyssa, again, I'm gonna repeat that. Terence and Alyssa, I'm gonna try to take it down a notch. Terence and Alyssa would have voted to keep Kyle even after everything that happened this week for various reasons. And the biggest reason is game. Michael and Brittany were using racism as a weapon in a game, as a game move. Michael and Brittany were using this for game. Terence recognized that. And Terence said, well, bitch 2 can play at that game. I can keep Kyle for my game. And I have no problem with that. There were people on Twitter who were absolutely condemning Terence for wanting to play the game of Big Brother by evicting Taylor, the black woman, in favor of keeping Kyle, the white straight man. And I understand from a moral dilemma why that sucks this week. However, Terence is playing the game of Big Brother. He's still fighting for $750,000, and he knows that keeping Kyle in the house is way better for him than Taylor. Taylor will target Terence. Kyle will not. So I totally understood, as much as it grated me, why Terence was trying to keep Kyle in the house. It didn't, like, the hilarious part is Terence was using this, like, well, for those of you who don't watch the feeds, this is what Terence was doing. He was saying, well, how are we going to look if we just evict him? Like, maybe it would be better for us to keep him in the house and have him learn in the house and make amends to us in the house, within the game, while America's watching. Why don't we do that? To which all of social media was like, bitch, he can learn in the jury house. Vote his ass out. And I understand that. Again, from a favorite perspective, we love Taylor. From a moral perspective, we want him to do the right thing. But from a game perspective, he knows that it is the best thing for his game to keep Kyle in the house. And as God is my witness, Alyssa, even though she broke up with him, she fucked him a couple times after the breakup on the feeds that we saw. She would have voted to keep Kyle. If she thought that there was a third vote there, they would have absolutely done it. I don't care how it would have looked to America. Terence doesn't give a shit how things look to America. He would have voted to keep Kyle even after everything you saw on the feeds and on the show tonight. And it would, like, that would have been the producer's worst nightmare. So I'm sure they were thanking their lucky stars that Monty was an absolute immovable object this week and would not betray Taylor no matter what, as he shouldn't, because Kyle is way worse for his game than Taylor is. But it was close. And I don't want you to be misled by what happened on the show tonight with the vote and everything. But I also don't want to condemn Terence for trying to make a game move when Michael and Brittany, in setting in motion what they did, was a game move by definition. And I feel like that it is not fair to then condemn Terence for trying to fight a game move with a game move, which is exactly what he was doing. And everybody knew it. So that's why they didn't do it. Yeah.
I agree with you. I mean, at the end of the day, these people are competing for a $750,000 prize. It's going to be life-changing to them and their families. So if he thinks it's a better move for his game, where he thinks, hey, Kyle's someone I can beat now, I could get one of the people that's clearly not on my side out of this house. Do we think from a moral and a just overall social aspect it would have been a good idea? Absolutely not. Like, we're not playing real world here. We're playing Big Brother. And in Big Brother, the game, there's going to be things that we don't feel good about. Every single season, there's something that happens that we don't feel good about as a moral person. But that's not what it takes to win this game. And so for that reasoning alone, I understand it. Do I agree with it? Do I think that it would have been the right move socially or, have justice in any way? No, but I understand it from a game move that would have been right for Terence. So I agree with you. I think that the fact that he even had the idea of that to be able to save his game or help protect his game in any way, I can't condemn him for it because it's a game move. So I agree with you.
Yeah, I will not. And I also want to point out that while I am busy condemning everybody who involved in this who had something to do with it, Michael, Brittany, and Kyle, I will say that I do have a limited, like a certain amount of empathy for Michael and Brittany. Because, as you said, they're playing a game for $750,000. This is Michael's dream. He's wanted to do this his whole life. It's not his fault that Kyle dumped all this information on him and said, hey, what do you think about a Cookout 2.0? Do you think that's happening? Maybe we should get all the white people together. And obviously he didn't say it like that, but that's the gist of what he said when he's like, okay, Alyssa, Turner, me, you, Alyssa, let's get all of us together. Brittany, he's naming all the white people in the house and he's naming all the people of color on the other side. So it's not hard to hear what he's saying. Also, let's talk about this real quick. So, because again, I told you that I get this on Twitter, and I know other people go to other podcasters about this, and there's a lot of stupid white people out there, and I was maybe one of these people a while back when I was younger and stupid, and just didn't understand the way I didn't understand my privilege. Okay, so here's the thing: when you come to me and you say, as many people have said to Bobby and myself, but Brent, the Cookout happened last year. Like, 6 black people did get together on the basis of race and protect each other to target all the other house guests. How are we not to assume that didn't happen this year? And what I say to you is this, that there have been 22 seasons of Big Brother up until last season. And every season, as you saw so many times, it was the Mayo Alliance. It was the White Alliance. It was all the people of no color who decided to get together because they just felt comfortable with each other. And they proceeded to play the game of Big Brother. And race was never a thing because it's not relevant to them. They have privilege. They don't have to worry about race. But they targeted people. They targeted Davon. They targeted Bailey. They targeted Candace. They targeted Helen. They targeted the others. Okay? And the others rarely got to the end. And a black person never got to the end of Big Brother and won the game, okay? So that's what the Cookout did. They made it a mission to do it on one season. Let's do it, and let's do it now. For you to then say, well, that happened last season, how come I can't assume that it might happen this season? What you are really saying is, I saw some black people do some stuff on a season of a reality show. Don't all black people act the same? Like, that's what you're saying by saying that you saw it last season, and then you're seeing contestants who might want to guard against that this season. You're giving them carte blanche because you're saying that, oh well, I guess all people of color act the same. I guess they're all going to behave like that. But that's not what happened. Okay, 6 black people got together last season and decided to protect their own, to make sure that for once in this fucking franchise, we had one African-American winner of Big Brother. Point blank in the period. There was nothing more to it than that. That's all they did. So for you to then assume that all the people of color are the same and that, I guess every season all the people of color are going to be working together. It's like, do you even hear yourself? Like, it's literally that simple. Like, you're literally like stereotyping all the people of color, all the black people, anybody that doesn't look like you, if you're a white person, and you're saying, I guess they're going to act like them from last season, or why can't I assume that they might act like them from last season? And that is a racist way of thinking, whether you realize it or not. It's just you're stereotyping all the people of color to behave a certain way based on one fucking season of Big Brother. Now, as I told Bobby in a recent conversation, there is a part of me, and this is the privileged part of me, so I will own this for those of you who are color. You may not, some of you out there may not agree with this. I feel like I understand some people who came into this season worried about a Cookout 2.0, not on the basis of race, but simply because people are always fighting the last battle. And that was the last battle. And and it wasn't much of a battle. It was more like a conquering. But nevertheless, it's the battle. They saw it happen, and they don't want to be the idiot that comes into this season and says, well, you saw it happen last season. Make sure it doesn't happen to you. We see it happen on every reality show. Whenever somebody does something in the past or recently, like, you don't want to be the idiot that gets gooped again. Like, you don't want to be that guy. So from that perspective, I understand that. But that is from a perspective of privilege. And we don't get, as privileged white people, we don't get the opportunity to then say, well, all people of color are acting the same based on what I saw last season. Like, that just doesn't fly. So I think that there is a non-race element to it, as in fighting last season's battle, but it is sorely overshadowed by the element of race that I just think cannot be overlooked.
Yeah, no, that's a great way of putting it. And honestly, it's hard. And we say this, unfortunately, way too much on these podcasts when it comes to Big Brother, when racism is brought up, or some variation of racism is brought up, and we have to talk about it here on the podcast. We're two white guys trying to talk about this. It's already difficult enough for us in our position, in our privilege, to even have a conversation of this, because it's something we've never had to deal with, and something that we will never have to deal with because we are privileged white men. And it's hard to even speak about this and have people take us seriously, because who are we to be the ones to speak up in this situation? This isn't our battle that we need to speak up for. This is someone else out there who is listening to this, has been affected by this way more in their lives than we can ever imagine. And for us to have our opinion flashed on someone's YouTube screen, it's hard. It's not easy, and it's not easy to talk about. And I just want to commend you, Brent, for everything you just said, because honestly, I think it reaches a lot of people that have these perspectives or have a idea of how this household has gone and how past seasons have gone and the way people are out there in life. And it's hard. It's not easy for us as white men to bring up. So I just want to commend you on that, because I thought you had some very, very valid and great ideas and just points to bring out about this whole situation. I do want to turn that around and ask you, for the people out there that I've seen on Twitter and I've seen on social media within the last couple hours since I decided, I'm just going to figure out what's going on. I want to know, for those people that say, oh, what about the double standard compared to last season, when people worked together as a race and brought that forward, and then you see someone suggesting that, and I know you kind of just divulged into that, and I think it's very much so the same thing. But then I had someone point out to me, well, what about the fact that Taylor didn't want to put up, my gosh, what's her name that went out last week? Jasmine. Yeah. How is that not a double standard? And I just want to get your opinion, because honestly, I told him there's a big difference in this, but I want to hear your situation.
Well, so Kyle's whole perspective on this was that the people of color, anyone who's not white, basically, was working together. And even though that we had Taylor's HOH where she, famously said, I am not putting up Jasmine. Everybody wants me to put up Jasmine. I will not do it. That is one thing I will not do. As a strong black woman, I will not nominate another black woman. Okay? She said that, and there are people, as you said, on Twitter who are grabbing onto that and say, well, why can't Kyle think the way he does because of what Taylor did? First of all, it's the timing. Kyle was thinking this way before Taylor's HOH. Kyle was thinking this and had conversations with Brittany and Michael way before. As you said, Michael noted during his first or second HOH, whatever. Anyway, point being that I think it was his second HOH when Michael had a conversation with, no, sorry, it was his first HOH. It was during his first HOH when Kyle had this first conversation with him, was starting to plant the seeds of this, and then he had a conversation with Brittany, and then Taylor's HOH happened. And then Taylor said the thing about Jasmine. So timing-wise, there's that, okay? So Kyle doesn't get to use that as a reason. Number two, it comes from a place of privilege from me. I cannot speak to how a black woman feels about nominating another black woman. That is something I don't get to talk about as a white man. I just don't get to talk about that. I don't know how to explain. If you don't understand where I'm coming from, I can't help you. But there are things that I just don't get to talk about. I don't get to judge. I don't get to judge Taylor for her convictions as a black woman to not want to put another black woman on the block. But like I said, from Kyle's perspective, that happened way later. Speaking specifically about Kyle, he should have known that the people of color were not working together, because when they were together before the house split, Taylor's whole plan was, I'm going to get Monty on the block. And at the time, the Brazilian girl, I already forgot her name. What's her name?
Indy.
Indy. I was thinking Ivy, and I knew that wasn't right.
I had to think that for a second too, to be honest.
Yeah, and Jasmine, and trying to think of who else was in the house at the time. Anyway, there were people of color who were hoping that Monty was going to be the backdoor option. So it was clear that there was no Cookout 2.0 alliance from Kyle's perspective. Kyle knew this. And the other sad thing is that, as has been pointed out recently by other podcasters, Kyle was in the best position in the leftovers. Kyle is on, CBS Tonight saying, well, I felt like I was at the bottom of the leftovers, and that's why I had to do what I had to do. It was all in his effort to protect Alyssa. If he just would have let Alyssa go, Kyle would have been in the best position of the leftovers, because he had the Pound on his left and he had Michael and Brittany basically kind of working with Taylor on his right, and he was in the middle, and they would have taken shots at each other, and Kyle would have been the beneficiary of it. He very well could have been the winner of the season. Instead, he's juror number 4. So there's that. Back to your initial question, for those people who are bringing up one isolated incident of one person saying she won't target someone else, I feel like that's hogwash. For as I said, I don't get to judge it, but for them to cherry pick Taylor saying, I won't put up Jasmine, but I will put up, Monty, and she did put up Terence that time. Yeah. Like, did people forget that Taylor nominated Terence? Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, you're just cherry picking what you want. And I don't even know that that's based from a racial perspective. I feel like that's more of a gender perspective. I mean, it's gender and race, but like, I feel like the reason that, Taylor was fine with nominating Terence, but she wasn't fine nominating Jasmine, is because it's also based in gender. And there's that as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think there is just too much of a difference there. And I think people just don't understand through their own bias. They only see it through one lens, and that's the only way for them to understand it. Now, I do want to turn this a little bit over, because you kind of alluded to it earlier, where Kyle and Alyssa officially break up on the show. And like I said, I didn't get to watch it. You're telling me now that really didn't end things, even though what we saw on the TV.
And and here's the thing, good for them. Like, they're having casual sex in the Big Brother house. Good for them. Like, we almost got into this a couple weeks ago, Mama, my thoughts on sex and how it, like, people just take it way too fucking seriously. I don't understand why this is such a big deal. Like, they broke up from a relationship perspective, but they were still getting their raw dog on in the house. And they did it on the comforter, and they did it on the pool floaty again. And, like, the whole, like, I saw this on a tweet, and I don't know if this was actually said, because I wasn't watching the feeds at the time, but Kyle said something to the effect of, well, we've only got like 20 seconds. And Alyssa's response was, well, that's more than enough time for you. And I'm thinking, like, this can't really, like, did this really happen? But I know that Alyssa has talked about the fact that it went so quick. And I also know that Alyssa did ask, by the way, this is hot tea. Alyssa asked for a pregnancy test. I don't know if you know that.
Oh.
Also, all the condoms are still there. They're not using condoms. Okay. I just want to say, I used condoms up until the point where I knew I didn't have to once I got on prep, okay? So the fact that these two idiots are not using condoms, oh my God. They better be offering her plan B. Thank God they're taping in California. And she better be taking it if she doesn't want to have a little one. Because they've done it at least three times. So that's that's the stuff we know of.
I can show you the beautiful, amazing, great consequences of not wearing a condom. And so I will tell you that it can happen to anyone. So they should be aware of that. Very interesting. Very interesting. All right. So pretty much this whole episode was centered around the entire Kyle situation. And how do you feel the house guests handle this situation? How do you feel in particular the house guests who this greatly affected? I found everything that they said, how that they still love him and that they, want him to evolve from the situation and be a better person, and that he couldn't be in this game with them as a consequence. But if that's the least of his consequences from this whole situation, then he's gonna be okay. I thought that was a great way of putting it. I think Taylor said that.
I mean, they were fantastic, but again, that is their grace.
Mhm.
Okay, they don't have the privilege that I have, so I'm not going to ask them to act any particular way. If Taylor had been extremely hurt, and she was, but if she had acted a certain way, or if she had gotten absolutely flipping mad at Kyle, or if Monty had gotten angry at Kyle, they would have had every right to be that way. And they deserve to feel how they want to feel, like their feelings are valid. But they didn't, because they're amazing. And, they were a lot more forgiving of Kyle than I think Kyle was of himself initially. There was a moment in time where Kyle was going to quit the game. And this is like literally rumor, but I heard he got a phone call from his mom, but I don't think he really did. I think he was just wanting a phone call from his mom. And Big Brother talked him down and was like, look, go out there and face the music and talk about your fears. And, and there is like the thing that was amazing to me on the episode tonight was Kyle saying, like, I'm 30 years old. I've never even been to a bar. And I guess that's true, but I'm just like 30 years old. And you are you are such a mama's boy.
Mhm.
Like for you to literally still be in your basement. And by the way, his mom is still posting videos of him. Anyway, it's weird. It's just weird. Okay. Yeah. So I don't understand Kyle. I've never been that sheltered in my life. But then again, when you're a gay kid in the middle of Indiana, you grow up fast when you're 16. So I never got the privilege of being that sheltered. But who knows? I guess people like Kyle do.
Well, and I also think it probably also stems from him being a Mormon and having a lot of those restrictions of what he can and can't do due to the Mormon faith,
Yeah.
which I have a lot of friends that are or were Mormon. And I know that there's a lot of things that they control of your everyday aspect and things you can and cannot socialize or be around. And I do think that that's part of it. I'm not saying that's everything to it, because he's definitely says he's not a part of the Mormon faith anymore and that he is, living his life. So I just think that that's a small aspect to maybe see why he is so sheltered to the way he is. So Brent, where do we go from here? And it was a lot in this episode. What do you think about the game going forward?
Well, the game is sort of flipped on its head. I think you saw aspects of tonight where, Monty was talking with Taylor and he was questioning Michael and Brittany, and he was saying, like, not questioning them to their face, but he was questioning Michael and Brittany to Taylor and saying, look, I'm going to nominate Terence and Alyssa, but if Michael doesn't win the veto, we have to think about that. And it's such a bad position for Taylor right now. Like if Taylor wins HOH, I don't know that taking a shot at Michael is the right play, but I feel like it's the only play that she could take, because you still have Turner and Alyssa and Terence in the house, all of whom would probably nominate her. Turner's nominated her twice. So yeah, fortunately we don't have to worry about that, because we have an HOH, and it, I have to say, based on looking at the competition tonight, looking at the puzzle pieces, I am not surprised at the winner of the HOH. I don't think there's anybody who follows us on the show who doesn't also follow the feeds and keep up, or who stays out of the chat room or anything like that. But we have a new HOH, and his name is Michael. Michael, for the third time this year, has won HOH. This is absolutely fucking amazing. Do you know that he is guaranteed to be in the house at Final 6 because he won HOH now, which means he's going to have a chance this week and next week to break the veto record. He has been immune every single week in the Big Brother house except for one time. And that was when Monty was HOH. When Monty was HOH, there was one opportunity to get Michael out, but that was right when the leftovers had just taken power again. And yeah, I don't think anybody could have foreseen this kind of run. I still I don't understand why there isn't some sort okay, do you guys remember in Big Brother 10 when they had the days competition at the final 5 and you had to slide the ball up the little ramp into the right slot, and you might know the right day, but the ball has to land in the right slot. I don't understand why there aren't more competitions with a little bit of luck. The theme to a great competition is it's 80% skill and 20% luck. And the problem that I see with these competitions is that they're 100% skill. There's no luck involved. There was absolutely no luck involved in the super slide competition, slip and slide competition, and there's no luck involved in tonight's competition. So of course Michael's going to win. He's the best at these kind of competitions. He's been preparing for this his whole life. These other people have not. So it's not a surprise to me. They better pray because he's locked in right now. You can't backdoor him. He's going to have a chance to play for veto. He's going to have a chance to play for HOH. You have to get rid of him if there's an opportunity. And if there's not an opportunity, you're just going to have to hand him the money. He's that good. I'm sorry. I don't see any way that he's not going to win the game at this point if he comps out.
Honestly, the kid's amazing. As much as I disagree with how he handled the situation, I've been finding myself rooting for him because he's easily the best player in this house. And I think that he's the most deserving. Yeah, go ahead.
I am rooting for him more than I was last week. So this is where I'm going to get it. I'm probably going to get in a little trouble, but I feel like it's NSFW, so I feel like I could say it over here. The fact that Michael used this as racism and as a game move should be absolutely called out and condemned. Mm-hmm. But there is a part of me that's sort of the evil part of me that's wow, I can't believe he just used that as a way to get an enemy out of the house that. Because up until now, I had sort of been criticizing Michael's game as soulless. Amon even agreed with me on Twitter. I was kind of surprised where because I felt like that there was nothing to Michael. We didn't even know who Michael was. It was just cut and paste Big Brother move, cut and paste Big Brother move here, cut and paste Big Brother move there. Win this competition, nominate this person, give this goodbye message, own your shit. Just very, very paint by numbers Big Brother game. But the fact that he colored so far outside the lines makes him a little bit more human to me. He's fallible, and that's what I kind of need to see from my winner of Big Brother. So it was a really dirty move, and it was I can condemn it, and yet at the same time I'm wow, because from a game perspective it absolutely helped him. It absolutely got Kyle out of the house. It decimated the Dire Fest alliance. The after party is no longer really working together. I mean, Terence is trying to keep them together, but again, Michael just won HOH. I have to believe Michael's going to nominate Terence and Alyssa. He's probably going to evict one of those two, probably Terence. And, I'm sure there are people that are worried that Michael might go after Monty. I don't think he does. I just don't think he does. I think he realizes he has to take a shot at Turner, Alyssa, and Terence. Actually, it might even be Terence and Turner on the block. Mm-hmm. That might be, and of course, as we saw in the episode, Turner and Monty have a final two that nobody knows about. But I feel like getting Turner out would be probably the best move for him because that would hurt Monty and it would also hurt Terence and Alyssa.
Yeah, no, to go back to what you said, as much as I don't agree with the timing of him revealing that information, I mean, it kind of goes back to what we said about Terence, how it was a game move. And
it's a game move.
It's a game move.
I mean, either the game, here's the thing, either the game is still happening or it's not. If it's not still happening, just divide up the money and hand them the money and let them go the fuck home. But if the game is still happening, anything goes. And so that's what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to still understand his point where he's trying to win this money. He's trying to win a life-changing amount of money. And I can't take away from the fact of that. Now, like I said before, I find myself rooting for Michael, not for what happened in that situation, but I've been rooting for him from the beginning because of his sheer dominance, in every aspect of this game. What?
I am not rooting for Michael, but I'm not disrooting. Like, I'm not rooting for Michael, okay? I'm just like, I've seen this story before, okay? I'm friends with this guy. Kevin Martin already did this on Big Brother Canada. I've already seen this story before where someone literally comps out and wins the game 9-0, okay? I've seen this before. I don't really want to see it again. It's boring to me. I don't get anything out of Michael just like outskilling these people. Like you guys know in the chat, I talked about the fact that there's no crapshoot comps. Where are the crapshoot comps? That was the great equalizer in Big Brother. I don't even like the fact that at the end where it used to be a crapshoot, you know, with the jury statements, and now it's like you're picking facts. So it's totally skillable. Michael can nail the final 2 competition or the final 3 competition. Like I don't even know how you get him out if there's not an element of luck to something coming down the pike.
After this week, after his HOH run, going into the double eviction, no matter what he's able to play in the veto, there's no more draw. Okay,
that's
so
correct.
then
because at that point there'll be 6 people left.
So
I mean, they're gonna have to hope that it's like a clown shoe-esque competition where, you know, his shoe is at the bottom or it goes out of the thing, or something has to happen where he's not. And then that's not even the worst part. Like, you still have to contend with Brittany. Like, you could put up Terence and Alyssa on the block. Like, let's say Turner is evicted this week. You could like, Monty wins HOH. Terence and Alyssa are the nominees. You're planning on backdooring Michael. Brittany wins HOH, or Brittany wins the veto. She freezes the nominees in place. She doesn't use the veto. You can't backdoor Michael. So it's not just Michael winning the veto that you have to contend with. It's also the fact that Brittany could also win the veto that you have to contend with. And as far as I can tell, Brittany is not willing to betray Michael. I don't think she's willing to betray Michael before the final 4. So, yeah. Again, it's going to have to be, in my mind, it's going to have to be at the final 6 or the final 4, because I think Michael is a shoo-in to win HOH at the final 5. I don't think there's a competition they could possibly come up with at the final 5 where he wouldn't win HOH. They're going to have to hope that at the final 4, at the final 6, that there's a little bit of luck, not a lot, but enough, that he could possibly lose one of these competitions to Michael or anybody, or Taylor. She's a very competent woman. She's a very competent competitor. But they're going to have to get him out in order to win the game.
Honestly, I think their best shot is at this double eviction. He obviously can't win HOH since he's that outgoing head of household.
Yeah,
and then they literally have to win 1 competition and they can get him out of there. Just win 1 out of the 5 of you remaining, or whatever it is. Just get him out. Just somehow make it so he loses. And I can't say with confidence, I believe anyone in that house can beat him at any competition, as we've seen. And we know he's thrown some of these competitions. Like, this guy might go down as the best competitor to ever play Big Brother US.
Oh, I feel like that ship has sailed. Yeah, I feel like that, because I do feel like he'll go ahead and just win the veto this week. And, you know, like, why not? Like, he wants the record. He was talking in the house about he knew he had tied the record with the veto win. And you think about that also. Like, there was a chance he didn't get drawn for that. Like, what happened this week almost didn't happen if Michael doesn't get drawn for that veto and win it in the first place. He wouldn't have revealed any of that information about Kyle because he knew he would have needed him for a vote. Of course, he didn't have that vote, but he didn't know that at the time. So, you know, yeah.
It's crazy to me because if we would have gone back to the beginning of the season and we were told, hey, one of the, if not the most dominant competitor to ever play this game would be in this season, he would not have been at the top of my list. I'm just being honest. And I'm absolutely astounded by what he's been able to do. Like, the guy is amazing at everything. And it could be a balanced competition. It could be a stacking competition. It could be anything. The guy is just simply amazing. And I want to give credit to that. And that's why I'm rooting for him to win, because I want the best player to win. And you can't tell me anyone else has played a better game than him. I really don't believe that. So from a game standpoint, a social standpoint, and from a competitive, nature in the veto and HOH competition standpoint, I just think that the guy has been absolutely amazing. I don't agree with the stuff that he did with this information. I understand it from the game aspect, and I'm still rooting for him because I think I want to see the best person win. And
Okay.
so with that being said, now we have him as HOH, and we can only imagine what he's going to do.
I mean, yeah, he's going. So he's going like one of, in my opinion, unless he decides to target Monty, which again I do not think he will do. I think he thinks it's too soon. You know, I mean, I don't think it's too soon. Because to me, it doesn't matter if Monty's there or not. Michael has to comp out to win. So it doesn't. So you might as well remove Monty. Like he might as well go after him. Like it doesn't matter for Michael. Matters for Brittany, but it doesn't matter for Michael. So, but Michael is very loyal to Brittany. So I do think that two of Turner, Terence, and Alyssa will be on the block. Even if one of them, even like let's say he nominates Turner and Terence, and let's say Alyssa wins the veto, haha. But let's just say she wins the veto, and she pulls down Turner. Obviously that would force him to put up Monty or Taylor up on the block. And even if he does that, they still have the votes to keep Monty or Taylor. It would be 2-2 at that point, and Michael could break the tie. So, Michael can do whatever he wants this week, getting any one of those three out of the house. I feel like he does need to remove one of the three of those people from the house. But again, if he decides to take a run at Monty, I will understand because he understands. I think Michael understands that he has to win. Like he's won so much. They all know that they have to get him out. So it's sort of like to me, it's almost as though Michael should target, and this is going to be awful to say, like he should probably target Monty or Taylor because I feel like those are his closest competitors in terms of competition. I don't feel like Turner is, even though Turner's won 2 HOHs, maybe Turner, I guess. I just feel like, if Michael loses a competition, it's going to be because of luck or because he gets out athleted by Taylor or Monty, because those are the two people that can run with him. So, but of course, I don't think he's going to target Monty and Taylor. I think he's going to keep them safe, and he's going to nominate the one of the trio and go for Turner.
All right. So with that said, I mean, it was it was a wild roller coaster week in this house. Very chaotic, a lot going on the Twitter atmosphere, a lot going on social media and all different platforms, and then inside the house as well. And all we can say is hopefully Kyle gets better from all this. Hopefully he learns and decides to be a better person because of it. And yeah, it's just been a crazy week altogether. So with that being said, this guy just hates me in the chat.
I muted him. Shut up, Noah.
All right. So with that being said, Brent, is there anything
You're in detention.
I was close to the button, but I was like, I'll just let him go. Whatever. All right. So, Brent, is there anything else you want to talk about as far as this episode or this week?
No, I really don't. Like can we just be, y'all? I know, I'm sorry. Normally we talk for at least an hour. It's like 52 minutes, but like I'm done. Like I don't want to talk anymore. But Michael's gonna put up 2 of the 3. It's been a long week. I couldn't wait to get to Thursday. I feel like we're done. I feel like I have correctly indicted the production, Michael and Brittany, Kyle. I have applauded Terence and also indicted him. I have given grace to Monty and Taylor and how amazing they are. And I have also factually pointed out that Kyle and Alyssa have been doing the dirty even after they broke up. And I have no issue with that. Like they're just getting their rocks off in the Big Brother house. Fine. Go have at it. And that's all we got for you. Unless you got something else. Yeah.
No, I better get out of here before this Noah guy gets unblocked.
Right.
All right, guys. Listen, if you can, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. It really helps the channel and helps us grow, so we can be able to bring you more of this great content from the Reality After Show, formerly Reality NSFW. Yeah.
I will say, Boston Girl in the chat said, any idea why Zingbot would come after an HOH competition? Baby, I am sure it is because they do not want the person in the Zingbot suit to die of heat exhaustion, which is what's been happening when Zingbot comes in the middle of the day. It's hot in California. It's hot here in Cincinnati. Oh my God. Like they don't want the person in the Zingbot suit to die of heat exhaustion, which almost happened one time where a guy they literally had to take the Zingbot costume off of the person inside and, air them out. Like that's why Zingbot is coming at night, because because of the weather.
As someone who lives here in Southern California, this week has been absolutely horrible. And I know we can't say anything to humidity on the East Coast, but here it's been 110 to 115 all week. And that's hot for us. So I can only imagine they're not going to put someone, and it's supposed to continue all week. So they probably were just like, yeah, we're not doing that to this person. We're not going to kill someone. So let's just keep it this way and do it at night. So I totally understand what the show is thinking. So, all right. Yeah. So if you guys like what you saw here, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It would really help us here. And yeah, Alex should be back next week alongside Brent and myself. If you want to find us on social media, you can find Brent at OneLuckyGay on Twitter and myself at Goodsby Bobby on Twitter as well. We appreciate you guys being here, and we will be back next Thursday, immediately following the episode. So we'll put some of these ads on here so we can get those out of the way, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Support for Reality After Show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. That's right, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code SURVIVOR at manscaped.com. If my math's correct, that's about 12 million balls.
The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, is it a game changer. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold your goodies.
First off, the Lawnmower 4.0, this trimmer is the future of grooming, and dare I say, the greatest ball trimmer ever.
Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to help reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 is waterproof and has a 4000K LED spotlight that you need for a more precise shave.
Now, I have a dark shower curtain in my bathroom, and I've been looking for the perfect way to shave in the dark, kinda. Guess what? I found it! 4000K LED! No longer a problem. I got perfectly smooth, clean balls thanks to the Lawnmower 4.0.
It's time to take care of yourself, so go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the code SURVIVOR. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code SURVIVOR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thanks for sticking with us through the ad break. And don't forget, for more exclusive Reality After Show coverage, visit realitypatron.com. That's reality, Patron.com.
And for more bonus content, go to realitypatron.com. That's right, become a patron now. Get additional coverage of all your favorite shows, the weekly Q&A, and you become a member of the secret, exclusive Facebook group. That's Reality Patron.